One more half to go. Bengals leading.
At Georgetown, there was an NCAA title. At the Olympics, a gold medal. CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Chevrolet. It's 1986 at your Chevy dealers now. Live today's Chevy. Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. And by GTE. We can do business with your business.
Back at Riverfront Stadium. Cincinnati Bengals will kick off. The Bengal mascot. I don't think he knows what the score is, but he knows where the food is.
I think there's two of them. I think there's a pair of those big cats out here. Yeah, there's the other one. The one in the cage must be the tough one. They're going to discipline that one.
The White Tigers. Reach again on that unique kickoff coverage in the direction of Kenny Hill, and he gets it right on the sideline. Down in good shape again. That's one thing they were really concerned about. Kickoff and punt coverage, and they've thus far done a very good job.
In fact, Sam White got more involved in the coaching, but watch this. All these black jerseys, at the end of this play, they're going to have 10 black jerseys in here. You see how they can pin them back into this side and get everyone down there. Concentrate, all you guys. You see right there? That hole there, there's 10 guys right in there. The other guy, the 11th, that's a kicker, Jimmy. He's not going to get in there. Size 6-foot shoe.
And 6 kids.
6 kids.
Sims slipped just a bit. Still gets it out to Mark Bavaro as the Giants go right to work. That's Bavaro's 6th catch of the day. Good for 13 yards and a Giants first down.
Starts to do this, he's going to progress this season into being a real good tight end because he started as a good blocker, and you know he can do that. You know he can block, and now that he starts doing this stuff, that's what you need in your tight end.
Giant lineup remains the same with the exception of the fullback, Maurice Carton and not Rob Carpenter. He might be back with you. Joe Moran slips a couple of Bengal tacklers, gets into Bengal territory before Carl Sander and Ray Horton finally stop him.
You know, Pat, moving the ball is not a problem for this Giant offense. As I see it, their problem is moving it consistently and not having that thing, not having that bad snap, not having the interception, obviously, or the fumble, because they can move it.
They've shown that today, certainly. 1st and 10, they're moving it again. They're at the Bengal 45. Sims back to throw. Has Bavaro again right down the middle, and his big tight end, the rookie from Notre Dame, barrels down to the Bengal 20. Bobby Kemp took most of the blow from Bavaro.
Now, those are good hands. You always talk about good hands. Hands are the two hands working together as one. Now, watch how Bavaro just reaches out, boom, both hands just snaps that ball right out of the air. They always say, what are good hands? It's not just catching the ball or dropping it, but getting both the hands in the ball. That's what Bill Sims is doing there.
Tony Galbraith is the lone setback. And it'll be 1st and goal inside the 5, but there's a flag down back in the area of where Phil Sims is, and another one back where the receiver is.
I think that one's going to be for the late hit down there in the goal line. That'll be against Cincinnati.
Bobby Johnson is still down.
I'll tell you, that was some throw by Phil Sims. It got the completion, but I think it also got Bobby Johnson decleated there.
I don't know. Well, we better explain that decleated.
Well, watch. We'll be able to explain it right here. Bobby Johnson is the outside guy here. He's coming to the inside. He's going to come under control. He hits him right there, and then as you get hit...
Number 50 at the end of the play, half the distance of the goal line. Ball we placed on the 1.5-yard line, 1st down.
They call it against Glenn Cameron.
Glenn Cameron was the one that, with the late hit, number 50, but the decleater was the hit just before Glenn Cameron. That was the one that knocked both feet out of the ground.
Which is what the Bengals call it when you block or tackle somebody and remove his cleats from the ground. That's a decleater, and everybody who plays your position pays you $1. I don't know if when you get a penalty, you get that $1 or not.
No, I don't think that Glenn Cameron was the guy that got the decleator. I think it was the guy that hit him before Glenn Cameron, so you could get a decleater, but of course you wouldn't get it if there was a penalty and you caused a penalty.
Bobby Johnson is still down and still being attended to by the Giants medical staff. See if we can see where he really got hurt.
Well, you see here he gets the hit. You see, and that is the one that knocks both out. Now, the late hit was Glenn Cameron, number 50, that came in and hit him from behind and in the head. I don't think it was the original tackle, but talking about getting hit on this throw, Phil Simms gets it. See, just as he's throwing the ball, he didn't even see the ball completed unless he can see through that official's legs.
Bobby Johnson up. Looked like when Cameron came in, it bent his neck forward. And that seems to be the source of the problem.
And that's the shot that he's having the problem with now, was the third hit, or the late hit, and the penalized hit by Glenn Cameron.
Simms, by the way, is 22 out of 28 for 297 yards. This drive, he's 4 for 4.
Bobby Johnson did a nice job of feeling and getting into that open area, and there again is a late hit by Glenn Cameron. And again, it was not only late, but it was directed at the area of the head, and that's the one that the officials are always going to call.
Would appear he's okay. Caught 3 today for 48 yards. Maurice Carthen and Joe Morris are the Giant running backs. First and goal just outside the 1. Giants trying to tighten things up a bit with 12:40 left to play, third quarter. Vito Cav, number 82, is in the game. They use 2 tight ends. Joe Morris hammers his way into the end zone. And Vito Cav got a good block in front of him.
I think Maurice Carthen got a good block too, Pat. That's what they put him in for. He was the lead blocker. He led in there. Joe Morris just followed right in behind him. Watch this. It's going to go off to the right. Carthen is 44, the fullback. You see, he gets that lead block right there. That was the one that let Joe Morris slither in beside him. Pretty good block.
2 good blocks. Atkinson for the extra point. Pressing holding. It's good. That makes it 21-10. You saw the 2 good blocks by Carthen and Cav. 12:31 left to play third quarter. Remember, the Giants have a big scoring edge in the third quarter. They went 73 yards in 5 plays. Morris scored the touchdown on a 1-yard run.
And now you think just before the half, had not they had that fumble down there, the score would be 21-17, and they'd really be in this one.
It's going to be Martin at the 1. With a 32. Robbie Jones tripped him up, but a good return.
On that last touchdown, here's Vito Cav, who the Giants just signed this week. He gets a good block. Mark Bavaro also gets a good block here. And then, of course, Carthen gets the third good block, and Morris goes right in between. Watch this. Watch Cav is the outside guy. He turns out, stop it right there. He turns out on his guy. We get the block there. Then Morris has that line.
Bengals up and ready to go at their own 32. For a first down. Elvis Madison on the coverage.
Byron Hunt, the left side linebacker, was out there. He got his hand up, and Esiason just zipped that ball right by him. Hunt was clapping his hands. He said, "What happened? I had my hand." I think he got that ball by Hunt quicker than Hunt could get his hand up. He was shaking his head. He said, "Holy moly, I've never seen a guy throw it out there like that."
Someone was comparing him, Esiason, and how hard he throws the ball, to Burt Jones when he first came up.
That was the thing Sam White was saying, and he reminded him a lot of Burt Jones when he, sometimes as hard as Burt Jones would throw it, and sometimes too hard, causing a problem for your receivers. In fact, Bill Parcells said when you watch Esiason throw, he said you see teams get a lot of tips against him. He throws it so hard that it goes right through his receivers' hands, and the defensive backs will get those tip-type interceptions.
At least you get another shot at it. First down, Bengals, their own 42. Just under 12 minutes left to play third quarter. Esiason gives to Alexander. He nudged it up to about 45 for a gain of 3 before Jim Burt met him at the pass.
That has to be an interesting matchup in there. Jim Burt, you talk about Burt, the guy with the big arms, a good nose tackle, and the guy playing. Here's Burt right here. The guy blocking him is Dave Remington. He's about a 300-pound guy. You talk about body on body fighting each other. Burt got the best of that one because someone flipped off Remington. Those are two big guys down there in the pits going after each other.
Second down, Brooks went in motion. Esiason has time, overthrows Collinsworth down the middle. That's a case of the ball just taking off and soaring high.
We were talking yesterday to Sam White. He said one of the plays, he said if he takes his hand off the ball too soon, if he doesn't bring both hands all the way back, if he takes it off too soon and gets the ball back there, that he has a tendency to get his shoulders tipped and the ball takes off on him. And it looked like that one took off on him.
That'll make it third down. 8. Third down conversions 2 for 5. Ball's at the 45. Esiason, some confusion. He tried to call the play third quarter. Giants make wholesale substitutions. And the Bengals are out in a hurry. Whatever was wrong, they got it settled during that timeout. Third and 8. Alexander back with Brooks next to Esiason. Whether he was in bounds or whether he wasn't. It looked to me as if he was.
We'll see it right here. Bill Parcells said that he wasn't. It's right in front of him. There's 1 foot. Left foot. No, he's not. Now he's out of bounds. That's no good. I'll tell you, one guy who didn't see it was Boomer Esiason. He went down. Watch, Kennard is going to come in here. There's Martin here. Here comes Kennard right now in the safety blitz, and he whaps him and knocks him down as the ball's in the air. Boomer wasn't sure where'd that ball go. They say that you can't change it. There's no good to argue, is what they always told me as a coach. I see it does do some good to argue. They were saying that it was good. Then he said, no, it wasn't. They switched it. They said, okay, you're right. The guy's out of bounds.
And so Pat McAnally comes in to punt for the Bengals. McConkey back deep for the Giants. He gets kicked this time. McConkey lets it go over his head. And it whirls into and out of the Sunday as CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League continues with regional action. John and I will be at the Meadowlands as these Giants host the Washington Redskins. Other games include the Cowboys against the Eagles, St. Louis, Pittsburgh. Los Angeles Rams play the Kansas City Chiefs. New Orleans Saints against the Atlanta Falcons, and Tampa Bay in Miami to face the Dolphins. First down, Giants. Sims going to work in the air. Down the middle to Navarro. What is happening? They are trying to cover the tight end with a linebacker. linebacker and double the wide receivers, and they just haven't been able to do it.
That's the thing. In their scouting reports, they've seen that Lionel Manuel, Bobby Johnson, Byron Williams, Phil McConkey, the wide receivers, and the backs have been catching the ball. And the tight ends haven't been catching the ball, especially Bavaro. Only 3 catches going into this game. Like, we can handle him with a linebacker. Let our secondary take care of the rest of the guys.
Bavaro's had a big day. Just got another first down. He's caught 8 passes. The blitz was on. Bavaro's got 9 passes. Bobby Kemp on the tackle. Sims took a hit. Tampa Bay leading the Rams in the third quarter, 20-14 now. Over Indianapolis 9-3. New England 7-3 over Buffalo. Steve Grogan back at quarterback. John Riggins has scored 3 rushing touchdowns to go over 100 in that Redskin game. Sims on second down. All kinds of time. Gets it out to Maurice Carter. Let's finish the scores. Minnesota 7, Green Bay still 7, third quarter. Cleveland leading Houston. Bernie Kosar has thrown a touchdown pass. 68-yarder to Weathers. 7-6. And Philadelphia shutting out St. Louis 20-0. Ron Jaworski has thrown 2 touchdown passes. His last one to Mike Quick. It's 3rd and 1 here. Phil McConkey. Ray Horton, the defender, and the Giants move the sticks again, a gain of 12.
Watch this. Ray Horton, number 20, gives Phil McConkey too much cushion. On the 3rd down, when he starts to come under control there, you have to jump on that cut. You can't give that 4-yard cushion, let him make that out in front of you. You have to play that thing a little tighter, and when he makes a cut, you have to shorten that gap.
Carthen is the lone setback. Flag goes down as Carthen just hammers straight ahead. Got about 4 Ross Browner on the bottom of the pile, but the penalty marker flew again.
It'll be against the Bengals, probably one of those encroachment things where someone lined up offside or in that what they call the neutral zone. Neutral zone is the area of the ball.
That's a bad name for that zone. That's a violent zone, not a neutral
offside
zone.
Defense number 79, penalty accepted, still first down.
Ross Browner, who made the stop. Lined up offside.
Yeah, what he does is lined up offside. You can see it right here. Here's the ball. His head is over the ball. So they see that and they play. See, he lined up there. His head was in that neutral zone, they call it.
1st and 5. Sims fakes to Morris. Goes to Bavaro again. Boy, they brought that play to the lunchtime gathering, haven't they?
I'll tell you, sometimes it looks like the Bengals have finally figured it out now, and Bobby Kemp is now, the strong safety is now playing on Bavaro. So maybe it takes 10 catches, and they say, hey, I think they're going to throw to the tight end today. We better cover him with our strong safety.
10 today for 142 yards in the first 5 games. He only had 5 passes, 4 catches. Inside the Bengal 15. Lewis Breeden on a stop. The fans, the sellout crowd starting to boo just a bit.
Well, they'd like some of these passes knocked down or the quarterback rushed. Sims is getting good protection here. They pick up the stunt. He's able to pump. He was trying to go to Bavaro on that one, and he had to come off to Maurice Carthon. Carthon really takes on that defensive back, Louis Breeden.
He sure did. In the game with Morris now. Bengals showing blitz. Now they back out of it. Now they start to bring some people, and somebody ought to break open. Bavaro was the intended receiver. James Griffin knocked it away at the last second. One of the few times they've gotten him covered.
I think what Bavaro was complaining about is Griffin was hanging on him. Whether he was or not, it was tough because eventually he did, but whether or not he hit the ball at the same time is what the official has to call.
This is Phil Simms' 10th 300-plus yard passing game of his career, and that's a new Giant record. Y. Tittle holds the old record. Simms had 423 yards last Sunday night against the Cowboys. Moving up on that one. That was his personal high. Incomplete. Lionel Manuel was the intended target. Lewis Breeden on the coverage. Manuel pulled up.
I think that was, again, where Simms was throwing one way, Manuel was running the other. You know, Phil Simms has those statistics in this game, but the one that they have to get is the ball in the end zone. They have to score the point. They have all those yardage, but they still only have 10 points.
That's with 6:23 left to play in the third quarter. It's third down and 10. The ball at the Bengal 15. Robert Jackson was the defender.
You just saw Bill Parcells talk to Jeff Rutledge, the holder. I think we ought to be alert here for a fake. Fake a field goal and run some type of play. We saw Tampa did that today against the Rams. When he sent him in there, he said something to him. I wouldn't be surprised if he called a fake field goal.
He's 4 out of 5 from this distance. This will be 32 yards. Rutledge, the holder. That's that option play. This is Atkinson. Touchdown. Said he's not an athlete.
Hey, that's the same play that we saw Tampa Bay do today. It's an option play. The ball was snapped to Jeff Rutledge. He's the holder. He gets up. How much he's going to run down the line. The ball's not Rutledge. He gets up, runs to his left down the line. Atkinson is a pitch man. He stops, throws the ball out there, and the pitch to the kicker, Jess Atkinson. He takes it into the end zone.
There was a good block out in front of Atkinson, and it was thrown by Lawrence Taylor. Atkinson scored his touchdown and then got nailed on the extra point, and now he's limping.
I think part of that, Pat, I think he slipped here. Usually when a kicker slips, it's his left foot or plant foot that slips. He starts to, he did. He slipped. I don't think he got hit. It was
he didn't.
Zone.
He didn't get hit, but he did score the touchdown. Mike Martin with the return, and he's down at about the 30. Back to the touchdown play again.
Jeff Rutledge does a nice job here of faking number 57, Reggie Williams. You see that? He gets by him. Now he's free. Then he can come out there on the option to Jess Atkinson, who runs in free. But if we can look one more time, we'll show you why. Here's the option down here. Here's the guy that gets bit. But here's the block. Lawrence Taylor comes off and makes the block there that springs Atkinson. Watch him. He's there in the wing. He comes right there. He makes the block. And Atkinson gets in.
We come back live. First down, Bengals. Their lead has been cut to 21-17. The pass was incomplete. Intended for the tight end, I believe, Rodney Holman.
It was good coverage by Byron Hunt. He was on him, and it looked like he was following, trailing him across, and he got that arm in there, boom, just as the ball got there and knocked it out of Holman's hands.
Score by quarters today. The Giants again strong in that third quarter. Bengals got out of the blocks in a hurry. Second down and 10. Boomer Esiason in the quarterback. Brooks is the man in motion. They get the ball out to Brooks. He gets about 7. Back to that touchdown play. Rutledge ran that option. It must be like riding a bicycle. Because when he was at Alabama, they ran the wishbone, and he was the option quarterback. And he executed it perfectly.
That's what he's telling the guys. He said, once you learn that, you never forget it. And they're all saying, yeah, that was good.
That was Jeff Hostetler he was talking to. In the meantime, that's a beleaguered bunch right now.
And they're probably drawing the play in the thing. You know what they did? He said it's the old college option. The old college option they ran. Here's the play. He's writing down the plays that the Giants had on their drive.
3rd and 4. Sison overthrows Collinsworth, who's hit from behind by Kenny Hill. Good pressure on Esiason.
I think this is one you can give credit to the rush. Usually when a guy overthrows, it's because he can't step up. You see the rush there, as he tried to step up, they were just closing in on him. And a lot of times that causes the ball where they just have to throw it away.
Elvis Patterson grabbed him around the neck. And the Bengals will have to punt. 5:44. A lot of time left to play in this game. 5:44 in the third quarter, that is. McAnally back and McConkey deep. McAnally throws a pass and it's bobbled and dropped. Now they're saying maybe he caught it.
I'm sure that's incomplete. Now that was a big gamble.
Offense decline.
Holding.
Down New York.
Decline.
Because, of course, that's 4th down. Now the Giants take over the ball right there in Cincinnati Bengal territory. The Giants play was just a trick play. This is a gamble. It looks like McAnally kind of shot-footed the ball. I mean, he threw that one like boom, 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 boom. He didn't get anything on it. He tried to guide it too much. But you see, he fakes the thing, but watch this throw. I mean, that's not even a good playground throw. You're going to throw it. Boom, throw it.
That's where that play belongs.
Yeah, he aimed that thing.
Sims going right to work. Down he goes. As the Bengals come quickly with the pressure. 3rd sack. That was led by Reggie Williams again.
Of course, and that's always that left side, that back side or left side of a quarterback. Reggie Williams, 57, starts to the outside, comes underneath, hits that gap between the guard and the tackle. I'll tell you, he really gave Phil Simms a jolt when he got there.
Galbraith was supposed to pick him up, but when he made that inside move, Galbraith kind of got cut off at the pass. 2nd and 18 from the 45. Cartham is the lone setback. Bengals again showing blitz. That means man-to-man in the secondary. Sims gets it loose. Has Lionel Manuel. He's out of bounds at about the 17, make it the 18. A gain of 26. That's a good throw by Sims.
Hey, and how he got it there, I don't know, because he was getting hit at the time he was throwing it. He had 2 guys out there. It looked like he was throwing it to the shorter guy. But you see the shorter guy, it looked like he was throwing it to Bavaro. He threw it over his head and right into Lionel Manuel's hand. Watch, just as he throws that ball, whoa, did he got hit on that one.
Sander.
It was Carl Sander, the linebacker, that delivered that blow on him. That's some throw under that kind of pressure.
1st and 10 Giants at the Cincinnati 18. Cartham over the left side, runs into Reggie Williams, and Ross Browner, maybe he got a yard. No more.
I think the way the Giants are going on offense with their passing game is all the running game is a little breather to throw the ball again. Let Phil Simms get the helmet straightened out, the shoulder pad straightened out again so he can throw it. That's all that 1st down run is. Because it sure isn't doing him a lot of good.
They might still be minus as far as running is concerned. 30 yards total, passing 360 for the Giants. 2nd down. Sims goes back to add more and try to semi-rollout. He hits Morris. Morris is hit immediately at about the 11. That'll bring up 3rd and about 4.
Well, they're saying, where's that whistle they talked about that they're supposed to stop? Phil Simms is starting here. He starts a rollout. Good protection out there. He was looking for Lionel Manuel in the end zone. He couldn't have him. Then he had to come back inside. Joe Morris is saying, blow the whistle, blow the whistle. Heck, When 5 guys have you, they have to stop it.
3rd and 3. Sims yells out something to McConkey and now yells to the other side. Bengals not showing blitz, and they don't. They only rush 3 men. The 3 men got it done. Eddie Edwards and Jerry Boyarsky get to Sims. The Bengals' 4th sack. Sims really upset. 4 sacks, 4 hurries, 5 knockdowns, 1 interception.
That's why he's so upset, because things are so much open in the secondary. I mean, he has guys open all over, and he knows if you just give me time, I can complete passes. I can get touchdowns. But if you get that, there's no way. He's ready to throw that ball, and then he thinks better of it.
Rutledge will hold it, I'm sure, this time, and Atkinson will try it. It's good from 37 yards out. Pat Summerall with John Madden. Cincinnati 21, the Giants 20. As has been the case all season long. The 3rd quarter has belonged to the Giants. Martin, Brooks back deep. Atkinson to kick off. To the 32. Today's box score, quarter by quarter. Bengals broke on top 14-0. And then in the 3rd quarter, the Giants have scored 17. This one then does not include today, but that's what they've done going into Game 6. 33, 1st and 10 Bengals. Handoff is to Brooks. Hammers over to the left side for a couple. For an NFL scoring update. Let's take you back to New York and Brent Musburger.
Well, Pat, the Los Angeles Rams have come all the way back, and their great defense does a job here. Steve DeBerg to throw it. Carl Eckern picks it off, and he goes 33 yards for the score. 24-20, Rams with the lead. Back to you and John.
That game in the 3rd quarter, this one in the 3rd quarter. And it's just about as close as that one. In fact, it's closer, 21-20. As the Giants came roaring out of the locker room and have come roaring back. This is Eddie Brown, split out wide to the right. Chris Collinsworth on the other side. Esiason lets him know what he wants. They just barely beat the 30-second clock. For Brown. Incomplete, and the flag is down. There's no doubt about this one. Ted Watts.
I'll tell you, there's no doubt about it, Pat. There's 3 guys threw flags on that one. There's 3 flags down there. They all had Ted Watts on that one. It was interesting. There's 2 of them. One guy picked up his.
Defense number 21, 1st down.
Now, had Ted Watts looked back at the quarterback, he probably would have been okay, or he would have had a chance. He didn't even look at the quarterback. He looked all the way at the receiver and then just grabbed the guy. So that one was a blatant, open, out-and-out pass interference. Under any rule, that would have been pass interference.
On 1st down, Esiason will throw again and go deep again for Brown. Almost, there was some bumping and shoving, but they were looking back. Patterson back there with him.
You know, I think that was the biggest difference there is Elvis Patterson, even though he did bump, he was still looking back. You see how his head is turned back to the quarterback. Now, he's going to bump Eddie Brown there, and he's going to bump him again. But the fact that he is turned going for the ball, that's his right. That is very, very good pass defense. You know, poor old Elvis Patterson, they had nicknamed Toast and all that because he'd been burned so much in earlier years. But here's a guy who has really done a job for this team this year.
Well, look at that stat. Think about that interception against the Eagles. And a couple last week against Dallas. And good play right there. Here's Esiason. Incomplete, intended for Dan Ross up the middle. Washington 24, Detroit 3. 4th quarter now. OK Stadium. Redskins seemingly on the road back. Packers have gotten another touchdown pass from Kramer to Leo Lewis, and that one's 14 apiece. Cleveland 14-6 over Houston. We gave you that one. That's in the fourth quarter as well. We are not. Philadelphia 23-0 over St. Louis. We have a minute 55 left in the third. Esiason on 3rd and 10. From the Bengal 36. From the Giant 36, beg your pardon. He has to try to come out. He can't get out. Leonard Marshall. 3 sacks on Esiason.
That was the thing about Leonard Marshall that time. Remember last time Esiason got outside him. This time Marshall comes. He keeps the leverage here so that he can't get out and comes into him from up above. Now watch Marshall here. He's going to start on his pass rush. Then he comes to the inside now. Now he stays outside of Esiason. Now when he starts to run, he's right there waiting for him. He didn't go for him. He went for his outside, so he was in position for a sack.
Pat McAnally back to punt. McConkey back deep. McAnally and McConkey just lets it sail and soar, and it goes in and through the end zone. 45-yard punt. No return, but they'll bring it back to the 20. 20 left to play, third quarter. Sims going to work. From Manuel. Lewis Breeden. That time step for step with him. Man to man.
You know, it is interesting, though, you brought it up earlier, how everyone works on Louis Breeden. Every time they're going to get a first down pass, and you know that the Giants have thought about that because it was their first play of the possession, and they just talked about it in the sidelines. So they say, let's go in and get Louis Breeden on this first down. I guess they just start off that, and everyone does it. And sometimes you see that in the film exchange. You see it, and you say, well, the other guys did it. That must be the way to do it. We'll do it, too.
Manuel comes in motion. Breeden comes with it. Sims goes back to throw. Chased by Bobby Kemp. He gets rid of it. And it's picked off by James Griffin. Touchdown, Cincinnati.
Bobby Kemp, but Favaro didn't get away from James Griffin.
Reach with Kreider holding. Sam White likes what he saw.
We see number 26 here, Bobby Kemp. Now he knows that Sims is in trouble, so he starts to scramble down the line, but he doesn't know Griffin is right behind him. As Bavaro went down the line, Griffin just stayed on his shoulder, and when Sims tried to get out of it, throw it to him.
To the win column. So it's 28-20 with a minute and 3 seconds left to play in the third quarter. It has been a game when running has been almost non-existent for either side. Both people are able to throw it.
Look at Jim Breach. He has one white shoe, one black shoe on his size 6 feet.
No wonder he's a safety man. At the 5, it's McConkey. McConkey out of bounds. And again, that newly devised coverage for the Bengals has worked pretty well. Don't forget, next Saturday there is a college football doubleheader here on CBS. Ohio State will battle Purdue, Georgia Tech. So check your local listings. Byron Williams on the move that time, and Sims gives to Morris. He is hammered in the backfield by Carl Zander and Ron Simpkins and Eddie Edwards.
Got something how this momentum thing goes from one team to the other, back to this. You know, the Bengals had it early, then the Giants took it away, now the Bengals have it back again. And it seems like when the other team has it, the most difficult thing to do is to run. It seems like you can pass protect and pass the ball easier than run when those guys have momentum.
Running's been difficult all day on both sides today. 2nd and 13, back at the 20. Sims a long count. Backpedals. Down he goes. Fumble. Bengals are yelling and screaming touchdown. It's Reggie Williams. But the Bengals do have the football. They don't have the touchdown. On about the one, not even the 1 foot line.
Say, it looked like that whole pocket just collapsed on Phil Sims. Watch as he's back here, he gets it from that side, he gets it from the middle, the ball pops out, and the Bengals get it all the way down to the 1 yard line.
The first hit was by Eddie Edwards. Watch number 73.
He's going to come in here and he makes the first hit. I think it was Reggie Williams who gets the recovery, and then what happened is they gave him the ball. No, it wasn't. Yeah, it is Williams. I thought it was him. The reason it's on the 1 yard line is he was tackled before he got in the end zone.
1st and goal. And Brooks is tackled for about a loss of 5, back almost to the 5 by Kenny Hill.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Toyota, who offers a full line of 1986 cars and trucks to satisfy the most demanding owner. Who could ask for anything more? And by Sony Super Beta, the VCR that gives you a picture 20% sharper than VHS.
2nd and goal from the 5 now. After the play pass, because it was a tackle eligible. See, the first guy he looked at there was Anthony Munoz. He's on the left of the screen. He couldn't find his tackle open, so he threw it to his tight end, who was wide open. And Brees will try. 35-20 as Brees is true again.
Everyone be Hall of Fame, but if they ever catch a touchdown pass, that's a play that they always talk about.
Well, he has caught one. Last year, I believe, they used that same play, and Munoz was open. Look at this turnover and what happened as a result. Brees kicks it left again to Kenny Hill, who takes it at the 3. This time he's getting to the other side of the field, but he's caught from behind by Carl Zander, who's had a good game, number 91.
Carl Sanders, a rookie from Tennessee that Sam Weich was telling us has really played well for him, and he said he's going to be playing more and more. I think eventually he'll replace the 11-year veteran Glenn Cameron, if he hasn't already replaced him, but he's their future. You know, he's the guy that's going to be there for a long time.
1st and 10 Giants from their own 19. Plenty of time left still. 35-20. Cincinnati leading. Sims fakes to Morris. Looking. Ball is knocked loose. Reggie Williams hit Sims just as he tried to let it go.
You know, as I said earlier, Pat, it seems like Reggie Williams is playing the type of game today that Lawrence Taylor used to play. He lines up right and left. This time, he's the outside guy on this side. He just blocks, goes through the fullback, and he's the guy that hits Sims there. Watch him. He's in a 3-point stance. He's coming out there, fakes the fullback, goes right through him, and right into Phil Simms. But he's lined up right side, left side, in the middle, down the three-point stance, up in a two-point.
Second and 10 from the 19. Here comes the rush again, and Simms just barely gets it off, intended for McConkey. No flags, and it's incomplete. Good coverage. Ray Horton was back with McConkey.
I think that this Bengal defense is starting to wear Phil Simms down. You know, they've not only been sacking him, but they've been there the whole game. You know, just as he's throwing, they've always been around there knocking him, tapping him, grabbing him, pulling him, shoving him, those type of things. And the wear is starting to show on Simms.
And it's starting to show on those offensive linemen, too, as they've been throwing almost every down. The Bengals know they have to do it now, and they're just teeing off. Third and 10. Somebody move.
That usually goes against the offense because, again, he's the guy that's set and can't move.
Offense. Offense.
You know, talking to him yesterday, Bill Parcells, I mean, you had the feeling that he wasn't sure the team was ready.
Start is number 60, still third down.
Yeah, or maybe he had the feeling that the team wasn't ready. I don't know that, you know, they had that disappointing loss to Dallas after they'd been ahead, fumbled, and, you know, whether they had ever recovered from that, I don't know that they have yet.
Third and 15. Simms stays under the center this time, and again the rush comes, and it's batted away by Ross Browner. Simms has really been under pressure these last two offensive series.
You know, and he's thinking it was so easy in the first half, and it was so easy in the third quarter. Where are we going wrong now? Of course, it's a lead. It's a momentum. It's a confidence that this Bengal defense has now. They're getting a push. They're just taking a giant offensive line and pushing them back. And even the guys that do get blocked are knocking the ball down.
Here is Sean Landetta. There's Mike Martin retreating all the way back to the 31. A flag is down. He's going to be gone if he can beat the kicker. But the penalty marker is down. Landetta grabbed him, and he was caught from behind by Terry Williams. But a penalty marker back down where Martin fielded it.
And it's not going to count, Pat. It's against the Bengals. It's a clip. A legal block from behind at about the 33-yard line. I saw him do it. I saw the official right there. I saw that the official saw him do it. So they're going to have this, the crowd cheers, everyone stands up, gets tired, but they'll all come back.
There are two flags.
Motion, offense prior to the snap. Illegal block in the back, number 37 on the return. Fouls all set. Replay the down, fourth down.
Boy, that's a lot of effort for a replay down.
And a lot of running. And a lot of movement. But there was a clip right there. It was on Larry Flowers.
By Robert Jackson.
And, of course, the penalty before that in the Giants was before the kick.
So Landetta, who has not had his best day, although in fairness, they've been down close to midfield where he couldn't really unload. He'll kick again from his own end zone. This one, not very good. It bounces right by Martin, who's being chased. Falls on it. Back at the Cincinnati 26. What looked like not a very good kick turned out to be a 60-yarder with no return. Cincinnati over the Giants. Pat Summerall and John Madden. That's the time remaining, just under 14 minutes. That's a lot. Cincinnati has the ball at their own 27. Boomer Esiason has taken over as the Cincinnati quarterback. Came out rolling. Nudges over the left side, and that might be the longest run from scrimmage other than Atkinson's scramble of the day. Reasons on the stop. Tampa Bay in the fourth quarter has gone ahead of the undefeated Rams, 27-24. deferred to Carter. Denver 15-3 over Indianapolis in the fourth. 14-3 New England over Buffalo. Washington in the fourth, 24-3 over Detroit. And Green Bay just gotten a field goal from Al Del Greco from 45 yards, and they lead the Vikings. Cleveland 21, Houston 6. Philadelphia shutting out the Cardinals 30-0. Second and 3 here. Alexander got 7. On the draw play, it's James Brooks. Brooks off to the races, but a flag is down back at the line of scrimmage one more time. Kennard kept Brooks from going all the way.
And I'm sure that's against Cincinnati holding. That's the area they call that offensive holding. That's what it was. It looked like could have been the center, Dave Remington, on Jim Burt. Burt was trying to work off something, flagging his arms
Holding,
around.
offense number 52, 10 yards, still second down.
Yeah, it was Dave Remington, the center on Jim Burt. See if we can see it right here. It's in the right part of the screen. It'll come up. Here's Jim Burt right there. You see Remington, 52, grab him with his left hand. Look, he's butting him with his head and holding him with his hand. And they keep on going, keep on going. There may be another hold in there at the end.
Not much doubt about that one.
That's not bad, though. You grab the guy with the left hand and just butt him with your head and pull him in like this, like you do in, we call those things curls.
Here's Brooks again. He's got some room again. Brooks has a first down to the 41. A gain of 17 before Kenny Hill breaks him down.
This is one of the things we talked about, maybe where you pass to loosen up that defense and then you can run later. That's what they're doing. You know, the Giants are in the pass rush and they're just running those delays or draws in there. Big holes on that one. Lawrence Taylor was coming on a blitz. Marshall was going to the inside, and James Brooks just ran right between the two.
James Brooks was a good acquisition for this team. Got him in a trade. He's really done well. This time it's Alexander. This time there's not much doing. Gary Reasons hit him first. And then it was Curtis McGriff and number 56, Lawrence Taylor. Let's see what Lawrence Taylor does. We haven't talked much about him.
Well, he hasn't made many plays today, although he plays well on this one. Takes on the block, gets right down the line to Alexander. Of course, Perry Williams was up there to make the tackle first. But I remember a few years ago, they wouldn't be running at Lawrence Taylor like that. They were always trying to get away from him, block him this way, and it looks like he's kind of settled down, and they're blocking him in a more normal way.
Abercrombie scored a touchdown for Pittsburgh, and they've moved closer to Dallas, 20-13. Stanford Jennings, nothing doing. Gary Reasons on the bottom of the pile.
Well, the Giants, I would think, would have to be pressing here. You know, in other words, by pressing, I mean blitzing, trying to force something bad to happen because they need a turnover. They have to get this ball away and do it quickly because they're 3 scores down. And that's a lot of offensive work you have to do in a short amount of time.
10:35 left to play here in Cincinnati. Here's our first final of the day. The Redskins are back. In case you wondered, they even their record at 3-3. They beat Detroit 24-3. 3rd and 6 from the 45. Esiason will operate from the spread. Giants coming on a blitz. Incomplete. Intended for Mike Martin, almost intercepted by Larry Flower. Herb Welch make that, as Esiason again overthrew it.
I think that's what the Giants defense is going to have to do the rest of the game. They can't let Cincinnati just get out there and get first down. They have to get there, they have to press them, they have to blitz them, they have to try and cause turnovers.
So here comes McAnally out to punt it.
He's a Harvard guy, you know.
Yep.
These guys have 2 Ivy League guys. Reggie Williams from Dartmouth, Pat McAnally from Harvard. You know who his coach is?
I do know.
Yeah, it's his wife. That's interesting.
And it's not just something they do during the season. Here's a good kick by McAnally. 35-20, Cincinnati over the Giants with 10:02 left. Bill Sims has had a good day throwing it, but it's been a tough day. 5 sacks, 7 hurries, 6 knockdowns, 2 interceptions, 1 batted ball, 1 fumble. sounds like a World Series line score. He's hit again. Flag is down again. Pass is incomplete. Over in front of the Giant bench intended for Joe Morris. Bobby Kemp and Mark Bavaro are involved in a little collision over right in front of the Cincinnati bench, and the official right there threw a flag. Against the Bengals.
Yep, that's going to be against Bobby Kemp, as you say, and it was away from the ball. The Bengals had a good pass rush.
Illegal
Sims was
contact.
throwing to the
Number
left.
26 defense, 5 yards and a first down.
And Bobby Kemp, and that contact, that illegal contact he's talking about, was way over on this side, about 52 yards away from the thrown pass. Kemp was probably just telling the rookie Mark Bavaro, he said, hey, you caught enough today, you know, and trying to rough him up and do something.
Move it out to the 25, where it's still first down. Here comes the blitz, and there comes Bavaro. Chased by Jimmy Turner. Bavaro's had some big day. Total offense for both teams. The Giants with 368. The Bengals with 243. However, that ever-present problem of turnovers. What's happened after that? That tells you the whole story right there. Sims back to throw. Has time. Again, it's Bavaro. He's got to be getting close to a Giant team record as Leo Barker made the stop.
That time they really had two guys on him. They had Barker, a linebacker, on him, and they also had Kemp on him. See, Barker was trying to stay with him short, and it was Griffin was with him deep. And he got in there. You see, he gets behind Barker there, and in front of Griffin right there. That's a pretty good throw also by Phil Sims.
That does tie the all-time Giant record for number of catches in a game, held by about 10 different people. Lionel Manuel made that catch, and he's had a good day. Sims is earning his money today.
You know, I think that Phil Sims knows as long as I can get protection, I can find guys open. We have guys open. I can hit them as long as you let me step up. Although that looked a little late to me. That was Reggie Williams coming flying through the air, knocking Sims about 8 yards deeper.
Second down. And down goes Sims. Under the rush of Ron Simpkins, sack number 6.
They just didn't pick up the blitz on that one. Simpkins was a linebacker, and he came right up the middle. You see, here's Simpkins right here. He's a linebacker right behind the line. And watch, when the ball snapped, he just runs through here. No one blocks him. But they have the three guys covered, center and both guards. When Simpkins comes through there, he's untouched, and Phil Sims doesn't have a chance on that one.
3rd and 10 from the 40. Tony Galbraith standing alongside Sims, and Adams up on the flank to the right. The blitz is on. McConkey should have enough for the first down in the arms of Bobby Kemp. Let me correct something I said a minute ago. Well, look at that play first.
Again, Sims beats the blitz on this one. He's going to get it again. See, coming straight, unblocked, but he's able to get the ball out here to McConkey before the blitzing safety gets there. And McConkey knew where that first down marker was, and he just got in front of that red thing.
Bavaro does have now sole possession of the Giant pass receiving record in terms of number of receptions. Not in yards, but number of catches. Sims for Manuel. Incomplete. The old record was shared by Gifford, Schaffner, Doug Coder, Billy Taylor, and Gary Shirt.
I tell you, you mentioned it's been a long day for Phil Sims. Yardage-wise, it's been a productive day, but I think pain-wise, it's going to also be a big day because he has taken an awful lot of hits today.
Rob Carpenter has checked back in. He went out with what was thought to be a concussion earlier. He and Adams will be the two setbacks.
If you could put a hit machine on that body of Phil Simms, it would register about 97.
He has surpassed last week's personal high with a total of 442 yards today. And going again, incomplete. Lionel Manuel, the intended receiver. That'll make it 3rd down and 10. The all-time yardage record for a game is held by Del Schaffner.
Well, you know, the interesting thing about Mark Bavaro and those records, the receptions is he's really not in there on passing downs. When they go to their shotgun formation, passing downs, he comes out. There he is. He's in the sideline, and he still broke a record.
I bet he didn't weigh 245 pounds after today. Simms for once has time. Now he's chased. He's still on his feet and throws past a diving catch by Adams, and now it's incomplete.
Hey, the protection was there. Phil Simms tried to step up earlier, and there was no one open. Good coverage by the Bengals. He finally got to it, found Adams down there. That's not a bad play by Adams, though, but the ball hit the ground. So he's trying to hide it, and he makes a pretty good thing, and then he gets his helmet and his shoulder pads over the ball, but the official did see that it hit the ground. The Giants are going for a field goal here. You need 3 scores, you might as well.
Doesn't make any difference when you get them. You're still going to need them. 46 yards. And that would have been good from 56. 35-23 with 6 minutes and 50 seconds left to play at Riverfront. Have gone ahead of Tampa Bay. That's not a final yet. Leroy Irvin scored a touchdown from 34 yards out with an intercepted pass. That's the 2nd touchdown on intercepted passes the Rams have gotten today. Can't be too much time left. They lead Tampa Bay 31-27. They are unbeaten. Coming up next, the Bears against the 49ers. 5-0 Bears against the 3-2 49ers. Some of you will see Atlanta against Seattle. But if the Rams do hang on to win and San Francisco would lose, and New Orleans would lose to the Raiders, the Rams would have a 3-game lead.
And the 49ers will know that if the Rams win today, even without the 49ers losing, going into the game, they know that even if they win, they're still 2 games down.
Just a reminder that game, that 49er Bear game, will be seen for the first time in a long time as the second half of a CBS doubleheader. Robert Jackson was the deep man for the Bengals. Atkinson kicked it out of the end zone. That field goal he really hit from 46 yards out. That kickoff he really hit. Maybe that touchdown juiced him up.
Haven't you noticed that sometimes when a kicker has some success and they kick a field goal, usually the kickoff after the field goal is much better than a kickoff after a touchdown?
I've not only noticed it, I remember it.
You not only remember it, you've done it. You've been there.
James Brooks was the ball carrier. Curtis McGriff was the tackler. Another final score. Cleveland beat Houston 21-6. That improves Cleveland's record to 4-2. Cincinnati still has 2 games left with him. Cincinnati wins today, they'd be 2-3. Pittsburgh is losing to Dallas. So a lot of changes in the standings taking place. Siason on the draw play to Brooks. Brooks tries to spin away from Gary Reasons. Can't do it. For another update on what's happening around the league, here again in New York is Brett Musburger.
Pat, it was deja vu for Bud Grant. Minute 20 to go. 4th down for the 1. This time he kicks the field goal. They're tied at 17. Now remember, they are, of course, in Milwaukee. They think they're a better team than the Packers. John Madden, would you agree with that's why he changed his strategy? Back to you.
I would think so, but I always had the rule in my own coaching that you always go for the tie first and then the win. I know the emotion natural thing is go for it, go for it, go for it. I think he did the right thing today. Get that tie, then try and beat it.
3rd and 7, and Marshall takes down Esiason. 4th sack of the day, the 2nd for Marshall. That gives him 10 on the year.
You know, and Leonard Marshall has figured out that. Remember earlier we said that every time Esiason gets in trouble, he's always going to scramble to his left. Well, Marshall, instead of running to where he was, is now getting upfield to where he's going to be and not letting him get outside.
That's an old coaching rule. Don't run to where he was, run to where he's going to be.
And then if you know that when he's flushed out, he's always going to flush out to his left, that gives you a little advantage.
Pat McAnally averaging 48.4 today, a long of 55. This time the Giants will apply some pressure, I'm sure, as McAnally is way back deep in his own end zone. McConkey standing at midfield. McAnally's a pretty quick kicker, and they didn't try to apply the pressure. They're trying to set up a return for McConkey. And they got one for McConkey. He whirls back down to the 25. The stop, and again, that's the thing that, as Parcells said yesterday, that's what's really been hurting the Bengals. Special teams.
You know, the other thing, that was a smart decision by Bill Parcells to kick that field goal. You know, a lot of times when you're that far out of the game, you think, well, we're out of it, let's just go on 4th down. Kick the field goal because you were 15 down. Now you get down to 12 down. Now if they can get one here, now they're down to 5 down and they can win with a score.
But if you get down again and need that long yardage, I think you have to go for the touchdown.
This one they do. They have to go for the touchdown on this drive.
They have it at the Bengal 26. A lot of time still left. And Sims fires to Manuel. At the 15. 11-yard pickup. They'll move the sticks. The Giants have a 1st down.
Seems like today, when Sims has had time, they're going out without a huddle here, but it seems like when he's had time, he's just been playing catch with Mark Navarro and Lionel Manuel.
Just about. Intended for McConkey in the end zone, knocked away by Lewis Breeden just at the last second. Down again by Boyarsky was Phil Sims.
That was a pretty good play by Lewis Breeden on that thing. Right at the end, he just makes a little burst there, gets that left hand up because McConkey was behind him in the end zone. So he got that left hand up and knocked the ball out.
2nd and 10 from the 16. Galbraith standing back to Sims' right, and that's Adams on his left flank. Out he goes. Thrown behind Lionel Manuel. He was open. Sims, I don't know if he's upset with himself or Lionel Manuel. 35 attempts, 53 attempts, 35 completions. Career high for Phil Sims. The all-time yardage record, again, is held by Y.A. Tittle.
Well, as you say, Pat, on this 3rd down, the Giants have to think, they can think here in terms of 2 downs because they have to go for the score. So they can throw one shorter than the 1st down here.
Sims looking for Manuel in the left corner, now looking across the middle for McConkey, and it's knocked away just at the last second by Jimmy Turner, I believe. Now they can't be thinking about anything but 1st down. Touchdown.
They have to get a 1st down. They have to go more than 10 yards here. They have to go for it on 4th down. Again, that was good coverage here by Jimmy Turner. Phil McConkey just didn't get away from him. Turner was there, and Turner was able to get inside him and knock the ball down.
They've had great success with a play out of the spread formation where they make the pass and give it to Tony Galbraith. He doesn't look like he's close enough to Sims to do that this time, no. Sims is chased, trying to buy time, and down he goes. Ross Browner, then Eddie Edwards, Jimmy Turner on a blitz to Reggie Williams. He had never had a chance. 7 sacks on Sims.
One thing about this Bengal team, coming into the game, tell you, whatever they were in, they came out of it today.
7 times they've put Sims down. And we've been telling you about the hurries and the knockdowns and the bat downs and everything else that they've done. He's had a good day, but it's been expensive physically. That was Ross who started in motion. 3:52 left to play. What's been a wild one. 35-23.
Number 65 offense, 5 yards, still first down.
Max Montoya. New England has defeated Buffalo 14-3. Improved their record to 3-3. Philadelphia over St. Louis 30-7. And the Eagles are 2-4. Strong performance. That's how the East looks. Dallas is beating Pittsburgh by a couple of touchdowns at the moment. Giants losing. Washington's already won. St. Louis has lost. The Eagles have won. Brooks. Gary Reasons again tackled him.
If Cincinnati can continue to play this way, I mean, if they can continue to play as well as they have today defensively, and if their special teams continue to play as well as they have today, this is going to be a team that, even though they started out 1-4, at the end of the season is going to be in contention for a playoff.
You remember how they came on at the end of last year so strongly. They still talk about last year. Maybe that was part of the problem.
Right, and they come within one day. You know, they ended up 8-8. Pittsburgh had a win on that final day to get into playoffs, or the Bengals would have been in the playoffs last year. Sam Weiss said one of the things they had to do this year was get off to a good start. The problem with that is when you don't get off to a good start, what do you do then?
Well, then you just about have to beat the leader twice, and they do have 2 games left against the leader, the Cleveland Browns. Pittsburgh at 2-3 and losing today to Dallas. Cincinnati 1-4, could move up to 2-4, and Houston lost again today.
You know, the interesting thing Sam Weiss was telling us yesterday is he said before they went on their win streak a year ago, he put up $10,000. He wrote it on the blackboard saying, that's what you get for the playoffs. He said every day the guys would come in and look at that, and he said we started winning and winning and winning and getting closer and closer. He said, so that was after about 7 or 8 games last year. He said, this year, he said, I put it up this week.
He
said, we haven't got up to a good start. Maybe writing $10,000 on the blackboard is a thing that did it last year. Maybe that's what we need this year.
He also said this team, none of the members of this team, have a temperament of a 1-4 team. They still have a great work ethic. For example, they start work on the special teams at 9 o'clock in the morning. And he said every day his entire offensive line is out on the field working on individual assignments at 8:15, even before the special teams meet.
And they probably bring their lunch pails. When we came here today, at about 10:30, the offensive line was dressed and sitting on the bench.
2nd and 14 at the 31. Brooks, this time it is a reverse to Eddie Brown. And there is nothing there. Brown had to put on the skates as Gary Reasons and Harry Carson were there and didn't fool anybody. Bill Sims today. Statistically, it's been a good day. Physically, it's been a day full of hurt.
You know, the thing that bothers you about that, and I'm sure that Phil Sims knows it, I know Bill Parcells knows it, is once a team does that to you, and they, you know, with blitzes, with the stunts, they know that's the way to do it, and you're going to see it every week. Last week against Dallas, they got it, and that's how they were able to get to the Giants. This week, Cincinnati comes right back with it. So eventually, you have to be able to get that thing, that rush, under control. Now, I know what someone's going to say, well, every game they rush for 100 yards, they win, and if they don't rush for 100 yards, they don't. And they didn't rush for 100 yards today, and they didn't win, but that is not the reason, believe me.
Well, don't forget tonight here on CBS, it'll be 60 Minutes, followed by Murder, She Wrote, Crazy Like a Fox, and Trapper John, M.D. Telecast, by the way, is presented by the authority of the National Football League. It's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of the telecast without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Bengals and the National Football League is prohibited.
father went to Columbia University. The punter there was nicknamed Boomer. And when his wife was expecting Boomer, he was a kicker. And so the fact that the kicker at Columbia was named Boomer and the kid was kicking, they named him Boomer before he was born.
He's from East Islip, Long Island. So I'm sure a lot of people back in that area very happy with the result of this game, although most of them are Giant fans. 35-23. Green Bay has beaten Minnesota, by the way. Del Greco a field goal with 7 seconds remaining, and the Packers move up to 3-3. Off to Brooks. Nothing. Reasons again on the bottom of the pile. And the Bengals will have to punt. Giants will have it again. The Bears took the opening kickoff and drove for a touchdown. And they lead in the first quarter over the 49ers 7-0.
Now, that's usually how the 49ers start. That's how they started last year when they only lost one game all year. They'd get that opening kickoff, and boom, that first drive right into the end zone, and everyone started out playing them from downhill.
McAnally back to punt. This time they do put a rush on him. He gets off a decent kick. McConkey retreats to his own 28. Bengals right down near no space this time. And McConkey is hammered in the back. He felt that one. Dinkle was the man down.
McConkey is one of those tough guys. He's always been too small to play, and I'm sure everyone's told him that. But he's one of those guys that if you ever do get him, he's never going to show it to you.
Right.
It's like the baseball guy. When he gets hit, he never rubs it. You see McConkey get up, you knew he was hurt, but he wasn't going to show it to anyone.
He's one of those guys who limps down to first base and then steals second. First down, and Sims is back to try to add to his record. McConkey has it bounce off his fingers. Pretty good coverage that time by the Bengals' Robert Jackson.
I think McConkey is still hurting from that hit that he took on the punt return. He can hardly run.
Right. Green Bay 20. Minnesota 17. Green Bay improves to 2-3. 3-3. Minnesota drops to 3-3.
Now, Brett Grant has done it both ways and lost both of them. A week ago, he didn't go for it against the Rams and lost. Today, he goes for the field goal and loses that one.
Sims for Byron Williams. Incomplete.
They have Phil Sims throwing off his back foot now. He was bailing out on that one, just trying to get the ball out of there. That's the end of a long day. Watch that left foot. Instead of stepping forward and to the receiver, it was parallel with his right foot.
If he stepped forward, he would have stepped into Eddie Edwards because he was right there again.
And I think he's been stepping forward too many times today into Eddie Edwards and the rest of his gang, Ross Browner, and now finally Phil McConkey is limping off the field. I know that he got hurt on that punt return play.
He took a shot from Tom Dinkle. And he has to be hurt. He stayed in for 2 plays.
I think there's just a point that you can show that, hey, you didn't hurt me. And then after that, I think it finally got to him, and he said, hey, I'm carrying this thing too far.
Phil Sims is still in the game, but the Giants have put in Jeff Hostetler. And he's working at wide receiver. He's their third quarterback on the far side of the field. Receiver. There's Jeff Hostetler. 11-yard gain. You remember that Bobby Johnson went out earlier with an injured neck. Now McConkey is gone, so they're down to the third quarterback playing wide receiver. The clock runs coming up on the 2-minute warning. Galbraith again.
Well, that's what happens, when you have a plan, to go the 3 wide receivers. Then as the wide receivers get injured, at least by getting Hotsteller, and at least they can still, use the same formation.
Final score, the Rams remain undefeated, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, despite a couple of gallant efforts, remain winless. They're 0-6, and the Rams are 6-0. Sims up in the pocket, again out to Galbraith. He goes out of bounds, stop the clock. We'll get the 2-minute warning. Injury ward over on the Giant bench. McConkey on the left. Looks like his ribs, and Sean Landetta, the punter, has got an ice pack on his right knee. I don't think he'll be needed again today.
Of course, Bobby Johnson had the sprained neck.
Here's Sims sidearming to Tony Galbraith for the 4th straight time, and he spins for a first down. The Bears 10-0 over San Francisco. They haven't forgotten last year. Here's Sims. Adams, a touchdown. This game is not over.
I'll tell you, it's not, because the Giants, in fact, when we were away at commercial there, I said if they get one quick here, we can still have a game, because by getting that one, this is going to put them five points down. They can go for an onside kick, and there can still be a game here.
This seems to be a typical Cincinnati Bengal finish game.
I'll tell you, and he finds Adams there in that end zone. He really rifled that ball into him. George Adams said, well, I fumbled that one earlier. I got one back there for you.
That's Sims' first touchdown pass of the day. That one for 24 yards. Atkinson's extra point is good. 35-30. Bengals over the Giants. 1:28 remaining.
Let's see if we can see that touchdown here. Adams is right here. He lines up as a wing, and he's just going to come straight down the field and split the zone of the Bengals. Just watch him here. He's running right up that hash mark. I think they relaxed. Stop it right there. You see, they relaxed a little too much. I think this area here, the short zone, the deep zone, gave him too much cushion, and here's Adams right in the middle of it. But it looked like that's your prevent defense. Sometimes when you call that word prevent, I think guys just kind of let down. It looked like the Bengal defense just stood there and let George Adams run right through him.
Cincinnati, as they line up, obviously expecting an onside kick. Collinsworth is on the return team on the other side of the field, along with Griffin. Turn over here, along with Brooks. They want some people used to handling the ball. McAnally's even in there on the return team.
This is what you call your onside prevent team or your hands team. All that front group, all 9 of those front guys are guys that are used to handle the ball, can handle the ball. They got to shift to the left. I'm sure they're going to kick it to their left.
He can go either way. He goes to the left. The ball bounces loose from Collinsworth. He had the first shot at it, but the Bengals recovering. The ball hit Collinsworth before it went 10 yards. It bounced right through his arms, and then there was a scuffle. And the official on the far side of the field says it belongs to Cincinnati.
Now, the rule on that, the receiving team can come up and touch the ball before it goes 10 yards. The kicking team cannot touch the ball before it goes 10. See Atkinson kick it out here. Collinsworth can come up before it crosses that line, and he can touch it. Now, after he touches it, now the defense can. Oh, that was Kenny Hill there. Looked like he had a heck of a shot at the ball. Then look, the ball's just flopping around there. Elvis Patterson can't get back on it.
James Griffin is the Bengal who came up with it, but that almost worked. And Ross is in motion. Esiason kneels, and down he goes. The Giants only have 1 timeout remaining.
That's the second time that Boomer Esiason has done that. I've never seen that done before, where a guy gets to a position and he's going to take a sack and he takes a knee to avoid a sack. I mean, it's a pretty smart thing. That's why, you get to come back next week again.
Cincinnati over the Giants. 1:19 left in the game. The Giants are out of timeouts. Cincinnati has 2 remaining.
Boomer was maybe coming out here trying to just run a little time off the clock, but he's looking downfield. He doesn't see anything. Then he sees Gary Reasons coming and Taylor coming, and he just takes a knee and says, I'm down, I'm down, I'm down.
They're enforcing that. When a quarterback does slide or go to one knee, they enforce it very strictly now. There he goes again. This time he slides. Funny looking slide.
He took a hip that time. The first time he took a knee. That time he took just an entire backside.
Two more final scores. Dallas, after a long dry spell, has beaten the Steelers 27-13. They improved to 5-1. Pittsburgh goes to 3-3, and Denver defeated Indianapolis 15-10. The Broncos 4-2. Indianapolis 2-4. Coming up next, don't forget the Bears against the 49ers. And some of you will be seeing Seattle and Atlanta. Esiason again kneels. He looks up at big number 70. He's been looking at him a lot. That's about all of this one. And it's been unusual and exciting and record-setting. A lot of strange plays. Sam White has his second win of 1985, and his Bengals aren't out of the AFC Central race as yet. Final score is 35-30. Cincinnati over New York. For John Madden, Pat Summerall saying so long from Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. Final score again, 35-30 Cincinnati. Stay tuned for the second half of our doubleheader. Most of you will see a rematch of last year's NFC Championship.